Welcome to On the Rise podcast. I'm Matt Ricker here today with Cathy McCabe and Deblina Jha. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So welcome back to campus. It's a beautiful day outside. We're finally getting some good weather, well-deserved on our part, you know. So campus is always so nice when the sun is out shining. But I wanted to ask you both, before we get started, tell me a little bit about your education at Iona, what you were involved in, when you graduated, and Cathy, we'll start with you.
Okay, great. So I graduated in 1985. Matt knows this story because we're similar. I'm the youngest of 7 to have graduated from Iona, in addition to my father graduating from here, my mom getting one of her master's degrees, and then my dad being the registrar for many years, and my mom being a professor of theology. So Iona's been in sort of our family ever since I was a very little girl. And when I came, I ended up being an English major, but I started off hoping to be an international studies major. I just had this vision of, working with, other countries and people from all different, backgrounds. But unfortunately, I just wasn't grasping the Spanish conversation, and I pivoted to English. So I ended up with the liberal arts major, and set me off on a career that I never knew I would have. While I was here, I studied really hard. I was a little bit nervous, not because my parents or my siblings. I kind of put the pressure on myself that I'm following all these great McCabes that I needed to study hard and do well. So yeah. I was involved in some activities, but I really studied very hard.
That's great. And so, Deblina, tell me a little bit about.
Well, I will start where you end, the feeling of being like a family when it comes to Iona. Frankly speaking, I came from an international country, India, right over here, and the campus gave me everything which I was longing for. Trust me, and much more than that. So I studied my master's in marriage and family therapy and graduated past year, May 2025, but this entire 3 years, the acculturation, the love, the feeling like warmth, and of course I met with my mentor over here, and also fabulous faculties. I was the research assistant in Heinz Institute as well as in my department of MFT, and also working with Chartwell. So there's so much of things which happened right in the campus. So I would take the entire podcast if you highlight about me and my love for Iona. And my course was also an outstanding one with a 60 credit program, which leads to diagnostic privilege. And it is one of the premier one in United States for marriage and family therapy. So I'm very proud of the course, as well as my graduation from Iona University.
That's amazing. So, you said you just graduated in 2025, back
Yes.
in May, with your master's. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Oh, okay. So it has been a very blissful journey, I will say, that I have a full-time as well as a part-time job in 2 diverse companies. One, I work the full-time with the New York renowned nonprofit organization, that is New York Foundling, where I work with underprivileged families and children. And on the other side, I work part-time in a clinic, which is located in Manhattan, Ackerman Institute, where I work with elite clients like scientists, like psychotherapists, even their family, and models. So it's wonderful. It's both sides of the world. Yeah.
And so, you went from English major to TIAA in sort of a finance path. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so as an English major, I do remember when I switched from international studies, I got the question a lot, will you teach or be a writer? And that really wasn't what I had in mind. And I love teachers, and I actually love writing, and I love reading. I was lucky enough to get an on-campus interview through a Big 8 accounting firm. And I got the job, funny enough, as an English major, because their philosophy was that they wanted to hire liberal arts students in the area, that graduated with honors, and that they felt that we thought broadly as liberal arts majors, and that they could teach us the role. So I was very grateful that happened. that didn't actually work out for me. I met great people and I learned a lot, but it was definitely more numbers oriented. And then about a year and a half later, I had the opportunity to interview at TIAA. My sister was a lawyer there and saw a role and put my resume in, and I got the interview, and I stayed there for 33 years.
It's amazing.
One thing just to add, two things actually. One is I was never on the number side. I mean, I did. I talked about how to invest your money as a professor or staff member, but my role, my entire 30 plus years was really about client relationship. So, and I loved every aspect of that. Iona was actually my client first as an individual contributor and then as a leader. There was a second thing, but I'll leave it at that for now.
So let's move on to networking and mentoring. So as you both know, Iona is very big on networking and mentoring. Every semester we have a Gales Go Further reception. Cathy being, you're a trustee, you're a very devout supporter, and you're the co-chair for the Gales Go Further Advisory Board. You serve as a mentor. So you're one of our biggest cheerleaders for that program. And this past year, we just celebrated 5 years, so it's been around now for a few years, and you both met at a Gales Go Further event, and that was such a chance interaction that you had. It was sort of at the very end of the event, that you were able to meet up and meet and discuss. So tell me how it sort of flourished from there, your relationship.
I'm going to let you start.
Okay, sure. So it was, things happen in chance, in flick of second, and that's how it is. And I believe that our meeting was such that how we just met and said, we know each other, right? We have seen each other in President's house, maybe like that. And we came close, and she just heard about my business idea and a little bit about myself in a fraction of a few minutes. And then immediately we told that, yeah, we are going to meet, and we Zoom meet, and we took it further because we were having a communication like, you are not going to laugh if I tell you about my aspiration and dreams. And she's telling, no, I'm very serious. And then it started so beautifully. It's like the energy, the vibes were so matching. She picked up that, hey, Deblina, let's talk about this. And she immediately stepped in and said, okay, I'm going to mentor you, and let's do it. And it was no looking back from there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And what I would add is, and Deblina's journey to get here is phenomenal. What she gave up to leave India and come to the States and come to Iona to pursue her dreams, and is still pursuing her dreams. What I loved is she wasn't a part of the Gales Go Further program, but she was working at the receptions and listened to each event, listen to those that spoke, both students and alumni. And what I love is that you had the courage to ask to be introduced. And immediately I was like, of course I'm going to mentor you. So this was outside the program, but for me, just knowing what the kind of mentoring I got, throughout my career is, you just need that little bit of help, might take a very long way. And I just saw in Deblina, again, that courage to ask and not be afraid, because the worst thing that could happen is if you ask, is that the answer is no. Here at Iona, what I love about the program is this is alumni being matched up with students. Every single alumni that's a part of the program wants to do this voluntarily. They are asking to give back in a different way, and it's sharing their expertise. And I was thrilled that Deblina and I met, and that we could talk and try to figure out, how can I help? What's my expertise in her field? Might not be the expertise, but are there any connections I can maybe make? And she knows and knew from the beginning, it's on her. She wasn't asking me for anything. She was like, what can I offer you in exchange for what you're offering me? She saw the value in this two-sided street, and it's been a win-win. And I'm hoping that the work that she's doing is going to take off.
Absolutely. And, I'm also thrilled to say that when you called that, hey, Deblina, let's meet up for the Women Entrepreneurship Meet. And that day also my department was having something. And I told, yes, I'm going to finish that. I'm going to come because it's the inner calling, The mentor and the mentee both recognizes each other. A part of them is within them.
Yeah.
Like a portion of Cathy is within me, a portion of Deblina is within Cathy. And that is the matching.
Yeah.
And once we see each other, the spark happened. Nothing could stop us. And that is so exciting.
So, Deblina, you are the creator of self-love apps. So tell me a little bit about that and how that got started.
Oh, wow, wonderful. Self-love apps happened right here in Iona because the story back happened in my life in the year 2019, 2020 when the COVID hit. And my entire career as well as my business, everything fall apart. And that is the time I got time to think, hey, what I really want, who I am. And there was a long holistic journey which I had to took. It's kind of a spiritual journey where I realized who I am and what I need to do. I came to United States, started from scratch. I wanted to heal. I wanted to do family therapy and taking care of children's, couples, marriages, which I always wanted to. Never got a chance, but when I did the self-reflection, I came straight over here, but still navigating that how I could do better to a lot of people, not only 30, 40 people in my clinical center, but beyond that, how I could reach out to masses. That is the time where, surprisingly, I got introduced by Chartwell's Mr. Nair that, hey, why don't you come and see that how Iona Innovation Challenge happens. And when I saw over there and I see, wow, Iona Innovation Challenge helped every student to come up with their idea. I put my name. I went to become the finalist of it, okay, and I got all the ideas how to streamline, like Professor Rob Kistner and John Sampelis. They just helped me to, write from scratch that whatever is your idea, write it down, make it and pivot it and change it and make it a business. And I told, yes, the business skills of my having an MBA degree back in India and now with a clinical degree in United States, let amalgamate together and make self-love. So self-love is basically a space where the holistic tool and the clinical tool are available for each and every human to understand that they need to love themselves first before loving others, because in my clinical journey, I come across so many people asking, where to get my better half, the other half? I'm not satisfied. But first they need to be at peace with themselves. They have to become healed and whole by themselves to find love within, and then it will be flourishing out. So self-love was absolutely done in Iona's campus. Okay, and I'm super excited that today we are doing the podcast in Iona and you asking me this question.
That's great. That's a great story and great way to go right into it. But what does mentoring mean to you? And you've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. So what are your thoughts when you hear that?
So mentoring, I won't give the clinical definition, but I just remember the expertise and guidance that I was given throughout my career, even starting in college. And like you said, Deblina, the faculty and staff here that guided me and helped, especially when I was up in the air about my major. It was my advisor that really gave me the confidence to move forward. And I benefited so much throughout my career of leaders taking me under their wing and sharing their expertise and guidance and letting me bounce things off them, giving me both positive and constructive feedback. The constructive feedback, although sometimes hard, is sometimes more important. Really, I always said during, reviews and year-end reviews or mid-year reviews, thanks for all the things you're telling me I'm doing well, but tell me what I need to do differently or what I need to develop, because I don't want to be surprised at the end of the year. I want to start incorporating those.
Sure.
So having, people that are willing to share their expertise, guidance, counsel is critical. And when Iona started this program, we've talked about it, I always say, I don't know if I would have really understood the importance of a mentor when I was a student, but I hope I would have, that if this kind of program was available, that Iona's offering back then, I hope I would have been a part of it. But when, Iona approached me to be a part of the advisory council and become a mentor, I had recently retired. I was like, this is such an unbelievable opportunity to give back, pay it forward. And there's so much joy. We said the win-win. I'm learning as much from my mentees as I think they're learning from me. And watching them flourish, a lot of them have graduated now because I've been a part of the program from the beginning. Getting to hug Deblina and several others on this, stage last year at graduation was so gratifying. So I just think mentoring, why would you give up free advice and counsel? It's not judging. There's no wrong thing to say or a wrong answer as a mentee. It's trying to give you, the confidence to, really prepare you, especially here at Iona, as you embark on your career and you sort of leave that community of Iona and go out into the big bad world, help you be best prepared for that.
That's amazing. Thank you. So in retrospect, looking back, is there any advice that you wish you had received earlier in your career and you'd like to pass it along to others?
I'll start. Again, I'm going to use Deblina as an example. Networking is so critical. And getting the courage and being vulnerable and, being introduced, in our case, us being introduced to each other and Deblina and us talking about me mentoring her, outside the program. It's just, I think I knew that innately, but I don't know if I always put that into action. But then I learned, and once I had mentors that really taught me the power of networking. And remember, networking isn't just about you and what you can get from it. It's not the whiffum, what's in it for me. What can you give to the person that you're meeting with? Being mindful of the time that you're asking. But I think the big thing is ask for it. Many times we hold back and we don't ask for it. And again, the worst thing that can happen is somebody says no. If you don't ask, it's an absolute no. And I just think, one of the reasons I progressed in my career is I was pretty vulnerable and pretty courageous. I would make sure I was prepared. And one thing to also keep in mind about being prepared, you don't have to check 10 out of 10 boxes. Check a lot of the boxes, be open to learning, but put yourself out there, whether it's networking or asking for it. That's the advice I would give to young people today. Be prepared. Don't be entitled. Don't be entitled for the promotion. Prove that you deserve the promotion, and put yourself out there and ask for it. Be courageous.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
That's great. And do you want to pass along any advice that you have?
I would also, in regard with just the second stage, that first is the courage, and the second is that don't get disappointed.
Yes.
Uncertainties is definitely going to hit hard. Say, for example, I graduated in May 2025, and just after that, being a clinician, I have to wait for 2.5 months for getting my, limited permit to practice. So I was just waiting for my limited permit, and boom, there came the news, because me, an international student, on 19th, I remember the date, 19th September 2025, from the government it came that H-1B student sponsorship would require the employer to pay 100,000 to recruit a student, an international student. So you can understand, I'm freshly graduate, I'm waiting for my limited permit, and there came an uncertainty, which is, I'm absolutely not prepared. But it is 17th September, I have already received my part-time job. So people telling me that even though you have part-time job, that could be the only thing you could get, and also you might be kicked off from your job. I didn't look back. 17th October 2025, I got my full-time job. And 23rd of February 2026, I made this company, Self Love Apps LLC. So it is beyond uncertainties. The moment we have that courage, and it is start from courage, absolutely right, that once we show up, become vulnerable, how it is, a part of me in you. So, so that courage of taking the first step, and then not looking back. Uncertainty is going to rule you, but you have to come out of the box and know that you have great mentors to support you, and know that change is the rule of nature.
Yeah. That's great. No, you both gave great advice there. But let's end on some content recommendations. Are there any books, podcasts, TV shows that you guys would recommend?
So for now, I will say I'm doing mostly fun stuff. So I can recommend lots of fun. But when I think back on my career, podcasts probably weren't that big. I've been retired 6 years now. Throughout my career, I read a lot. So I recently actually donated about 40 business books to Iona. Wow. I donated about hundreds of books in our local bookstore. But I will say I always was drawn toward leadership. How could I be the best leader? How can I, set vision, set strategy, and not just have people follow me, but want to follow me? So I was always trying, Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, whoever can help give me those kinds of things. And there's one phrase that I'll never forget from one of Brene Brown's many books called Freudenfreud. And what the meaning of that is to celebrate the success of others. And I really tried to do that as a leader throughout my career, giving things like "You rock." I know you have yours in your pocket, but acknowledging people for what they're doing. And it doesn't always have to be big. Yes, money, bonuses, we all like that. But sometimes it's that handwritten note acknowledging, the work that folks have done. And I acknowledge that with both of you, because you're a joy to work with and working really hard.
Thank you.
And Deblina is, hopefully going places with her app.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any books or recommendations?
Certainly, I will recommend the book which I always love to go back whenever there is time to reflect, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and also the autobiography of a yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. That is the only book which Steve Jobs had during his time when he was going through a tough time. I'll say that sometime when we talk about spirituality and day-to-day living, we hardly get time to go there. It's like time to reflect is time for spirituality.
Right.
Spirituality is nothing to do with religion, but everything to do with who you are, the questioning yourself, and also The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. These are the book which has been always there with me throughout my journey, and I go back whenever I feel like. It's like just open the book without seeing the pages, and you know that your message is sitting over there.
Yeah.
So it's something like
That's
that.
amazing.
And for other recommendation about any podcast or other things, I will say for international student, they have to see a lot of podcasts related with what is the present scenario of before coming into a country. That was very helpful for me. UDJ was one of them. So it is like before you step into the country, know about the culture, the acculturation, and everything from climate and everything. So I would recommend going further, any international student coming to United States must see those podcasts and then only step in.
Well, thank you, Cathy and Deblina, for coming on today. It was a joy and a pleasure to have you both on this show, and such a beautiful story and inspiring story as well. So, and I look forward to hearing more in the future.
And thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. And that's all for On the Rise podcast. I'm Matt Ricker. We'll see you next time. Take care.